This month's meeting of Parks and Environment Committee. Tonight, we are joined by our colleagues from the Transportation Committee. I'm Barbara Adler. This is my co-chair, Daria Kim, and Transportation co-chairs are Sophia Valla and Ken Coughlin. The first thing we have to do is, I think you know is a requirement, is I'm going to ask you if you will please approve the agenda for this evening. So may I have a show of hands from those here? Okay, thank you. And tonight's waivers are for John Chauchet, who's online because of childcare, and Ethel Sheffer for a medical reason. I also wanted to say right up front that if you are online and you are planning to be a speaker tonight, either an expert speaker, one of the people we invited to speak, please make sure to raise your hand so that we can promote you. Okay, so we are going to start tonight's meeting with a very brief presentation. I think Shadik Mitchell for the Central Park Conservancy is going to give that talk.
We are representing this.
Okay, very good. So you want to come up here? And we have found that because you pick up best on our mics, if you just will stand right against this wall. Thank you.
This wall here.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Shatik sent some slides ahead of time. Are we able to access those, or if not, we can just go off.
Did you send it to the office? Is that you did? We won't be able to pull
We
it.
don't have anybody helping us here
Yeah,
today.
let me pull it up. on
I'm
my
sorry.
phone, and then-
So if you join your Zoom, you can share your screen. If you have your computer.
I don't.
Okay.
They said it would be a 5-minute presentation.
It's okay.
because We have a long meeting tonight. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna check the site.
Okay.
That's Colleen have it, she could pull it up and.
Here.
You want to call it and email it to Barbara?
We'll pull it up here. There's no confidence.
Anything that.
Thank you.
Hey, Carrie.
So I'll begin by introducing myself, and then Cameron yourself. My name is Jessica McLean, and I am a historian for the Central Park Conservancy.
Hi, I'm Cameron Lee. I'm the Sunny Village Program Coordinator at the Conservancy. Yeah, sorry, this is a bit, my slides are here, but we are in the process in our first year of a 2 to 3 year commemoration project for Seneca Village, which Jessica will give a brief history about Seneca Village in a second, but we wanted to come here and present our project and kind of share the work we've been doing and also invite you all into the project, which is completely based on community feedback and interest and engagement in our public programs. And so we want to ask you to involve yourselves in whatever way is interesting to you, and also share our project with your communities, friends, family, so that we can honor and commemorate Seneca Village in the best way. And we'll just start by giving a really brief history of what Seneca Village was.
And as hopefully all of you know, and if not, that is our job here tonight. But in the beginning in 1825, there was a free Black settlement that was established in what is now Central Park. By 1855, there were about approximately 230 individuals residing in Seneca Village. 2/3 of whom were Black New Yorkers, 1/3 of whom were of Irish descent. Exactly, yes, indeed. The villagers were, with the creation in 1853, notification was sent around that a park would be constructed. And as a result of that process, the village, the community, the land was taken through the process of eminent domain. And the villagers essentially scattered to New Jersey, the Bronx, Lower Manhattan, Queens, etc. So part of the work that we are doing at the Conservancy is to publicly interpret the site. Hopefully you've had a chance to see the exhibition signage that we have in the park. And we were fortunate enough to receive a grant from the Mellon Foundation to spend this year and next year doing community outreach, community engagement to both share the history of Seneca Village and also start thinking about what permanent commemoration could look like for Seneca Village in Central Park.
Yes, and yeah, just to continue that thread, as Jessica said, we're in the process of this project with the long-term goal of designing a permanent commemoration for Seneca Village in Central Park. And so we aim for that commemoration to inspire reflection, consider the history, and incorporate public opinion about what that commemorative element should look like. And we're really interested in something that's maybe non-traditional, original, and and a form of commemoration that honors the landscape features that are in Seneca Village, some of which existed when Seneca Villagers lived there. The rocks, Tanner Spring, and really consider the landscape in the final form of commemoration. And to reach that end goal, we're engaging partners and stakeholders like you to think about what we want to honor, how we want to achieve that goal, and kind of what's important to us about Seneca Village that we want reflected in form of permanent commemoration. And so for context,
No, it's just.
for context, we have had a few programs so far in the past year. We launched in March at the Schomburg. And we held our Juneteenth in Seneca Village event last year as a celebration as part of this project, which will continue to be an annual event, but in this past year, focused on interpreting the history of Seneca Village through poetry and performance. And then in September of last year, we held our Founders Day event, which was a celebration of the 200th anniversary of the Seneca Village founding in 1825. And that was at Mother Amy Zion Church in Harlem in collaboration with that church. And as we move forward, I have some postcards actually and some information to share, but we would love to welcome you all to visit our website, which we just relaunched, and to sign up for our newsletters and hear about upcoming programming and attend. And then also we have our regular Seneca Village tours running where you can visit the landscape, take a guided tour of Seneca Village and learn about the history even further. And then we also offer free tours for we have all the information. I will bring it to the table. And I'll also have to answer any questions about the project or the history.
We just ask you to help us spread the word.
Okay, thank you. Thanks very much.
Okay, one final thing, unrelated to Seneca Village, we have flyers for our data center ice season. So some of the dates on that are outdated, but if you scan the QR code, you can see all the updated dates for the ice skating and the DJing and all the celebrations that will be held at the data center upcoming. So I will bring those to the table as well.
Just had a question. What is the construction that's going on there right now?
At present, the playground there is
Okay.
being restored.
I'm sorry.
And so that should be opening later this spring, this summer into the fall.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Let me just remind speakers when you begin to speak to really project because this room does not have good acoustics and we have no microphone. So I apologize. Okay, so we're joined tonight by DOT, the Central Park Conservancy. I believe the commanding officer of the Central Park Precinct as well. And I just wanted to give you some parameters for tonight's meeting, okay? So speakers will have only 1 minute to speak tonight. This is basically a listening experience and a discussion. I expect that you will treat everybody with great respect. We don't want any applause. We don't want any booing. If you agree with the previous speakers, because we have many of them online, it would be helpful if you would just say, I agree with that person and move on. We will start with a brief presentation of facts with a couple of PowerPoint slides, which Sophia here was nice enough to put together for me. And Linda Alexander is our clock tonight. And we
Back in the
will
clock saddle
strictly
again.
enforce the 1 minute, and I apologize, but there's so many people, I'm sure everybody will be happy at the end to get out before midnight.
Okay.
So after the short PowerPoint slides, we'll hear briefly from the DOT, from the CPC, and from the NYPD. And then we will go on to our speakers. And I want to remind you that we are only discussing the pedestrian safety in crossing the drives. We are not discussing anything else here this evening. Lastly, we do have a draft resolution, which we may or may not present, depending on how things go tonight and what people have to say. And with that, my mouth is so dry, I'm sorry. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight, and let's get started, okay? So Sophia, yeah. So this is all information that comes directly off of Sam Schwartz's 77-page report, which he did for the Central Park Conservancy. So this just shows you the entire loop of the drive of Central Park. Okay, next. Okay, so again, statistics right off the report. 42 million people use the park each year. More than half of them, 61% of pedestrians, sometimes feel unsafe, primarily crossing the drives. There are 47 traffic lights. Many in the newly repaved section of the drives have been replaced with flashing yellow lights. Data doesn't seem to be available past 2022, but from 2018 to 2022, there were 522 collisions, 472 with injuries, and 1 fatality. Prioritizing active recreation activities, including walking, jogging, cycling, is crucial for maintaining the drive's recreational value for their most frequent users named above. A vocal group has advocated for the removal of e-bikes or electronic devices in the park, with increased enforcement by PEP officers and the NYPD. There is currently a bill in the City Council regarding banning these devices, that is Intro 0060 from 2024. The speed limit for all vehicles in Central Park was recently lowered from 15 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour. Lastly, New York City has a new mayor. We don't know what position he will take on some of these major issues. New York City also has a new speaker of the City Council, and what we do know is that she supports licensing and registering e-bikes, and lost the last line. Sorry about that. You have to guess. Near-term recommendations. Allocate space consistently across the drives and pilot the use of new colors and textures on the roadbed, pictured here. 2, better separate pedestrians from cyclists and other high-speed users, pictured here. 3, undertake an analysis of every crosswalk in the park with an eye toward better protecting pedestrians. 4, guide pedestrians to the historic archways to reduce conflicts on the drives. 5, increase educational outreach and targeted enforcement to promote safety. 6, collaborate with city agencies to improve bike infrastructure on all streets surrounding the park. Medium-term recommendations. Remove existing vehicular traffic signals and replace them with signals designed for bikers and pedestrians. 2, continue to collaborate with city agencies to further expand and improve bicycle infrastructure, including a designated bike lane on the east side of the park. 3, explore a robust bike lane capital improvement on 86th Street transfers and examine feasibility of other transverses for bike lanes. Prioritize an in-park bike lane along the 86th Street bridle path. 4, look into extending the pedestrian path network running parallel to the drives to reduce crowding and conflicts in the busiest areas. 5, create tailored redesigns for specific areas where user conflicts frequently occur. 6, form a pedicab reform working group to improve their operations. Long-term recommendations. 1, explore a raised pedestrian lane at the southernmost crowded section of the park. 2, explore geometric changes at key locations along the drives. I think that's it. And that is it. Okay, so that, like I said, comes directly from Sarah Schwartz's notes that were in his report. So
Correction?
now we've given, we've asked DOT first, and then the Central Park Conservancy, and then the NYPD to talk to us for 3 to 5 minutes about things that we may not know about tonight, things that are new and upcoming that haven't been implemented yet. So Colleen, are you there?
Hey, hi Barbara. Yes, I'm here. Hi everyone. It's Colleen Chattergoon
Hi.
from the City
Hi,
Department of Transportation. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. Before we go into the presentation that we have to share with the community board, can you add Maya Dutt, who's from Parks? Can you upgrade her to a panelist? And I believe Sarah Nielsen is also in the chat. If you can add them as panelists for me, please. Thank you.
Sure.
Great. Great. So thanks everyone for having us this evening here. I'm Colleen Chattergoon. I'm from the New York City Department of Transportation. And I'm joined here with my colleague, Esteban Doyle, who will give a presentation on the Central Park drives and the changes that we've made and the work that we've been doing with the Central Park Conservancy and NYPD. Joining me tonight are my colleagues from the Central Park Conservancy, and I would love for them to introduce themselves and let you know who they are and what they do. And then we will, and my colleagues from Parks as well. And then we will kick off the presentation. And if we can hold questions to the end, that would be great. So thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. It's Dave Saltonstall. I'm the Vice President for Government Relations Policy and, excuse me, Community Affairs at the Central Park Conservancy. And I'm joined here by my colleague tonight, Erica Sofa. Erica, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. Erica Sofa, Vice President for Park Use and Stewardship at Central Park Conservancy. I think I'll hand it off to Parks.
Is Captain Maliente here?
Is there?
Mhm.
Oh, he was. Yeah, he's there.
Yep.
Yeah, there he is.
You're on. Captain Maliente? You're muted. Can you unmute yourself, please?
I can, if I can get back to my screen, I can.
You're on now.
Perfect,
you
you're
can-
on. Yes.
All right,
great.
thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Yes, I am on from the precinct. I will tell you, we have been stepping up e-bike enforcement in the park, and we've had a bunch of bike enforcement this year that we're happy with. We worked with the Transportation Bureau from the NYPD to get signs in the park that announce the new speed limit, and also tell people to the new speed limit and to yield for pedestrians. We've done 8 outreach operations with traffic agents where we've handed out over 3,000 flyers. We've done borough-wide auxiliary deployments where we've had over 50 auxiliary officers at various intersections handing out flyers. And we have installed speed signs around the park announcing telling people how fast they're going in the speed limit.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to begin now with speakers, and we're going to start with those people who are here in the room. Some of you signed up early on a different sign, and she will start with you.
Barbara, I'm sorry, it's Colleen. We have a short presentation that we'd like to deliver,
Great.
and my
That's-
colleague Esteban will give that presentation.
That's just great. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't realize that.
Yes, Esteban?
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for having us be present. My name is Esteban Doyle. I'm with the DOT. I will share this presentation. A lot of this information was covered just briefly, so I will go through it very quickly. But I will want to make sure that we're sharing some of the updates with the recent redesign. Can you all see the presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Let me go to full screen mode. Great. So I will go through this, skip this pretty quickly. I think everyone is very familiar with the drives in Central Park in the history, as was just presented earlier. In 2024, there was a safety and circulation study led by the Central Park Conservancy in close partnership with DOT, Parks, worked on by T.Y. Lin to come up with a set of recommendations to improve safety and comfort in the park. And over the past year, DOT has been working and closely again with CPC and Parks to implement the first phase of that redesign, which was in the southern section of the drives. Just to talk briefly about some of the goals of this effort is to really focusing on improving safety, improving mobility, and maintaining the character of the park, recognizing that Central Park is unlike other roads in the city, and so one to make sure that we're maintaining that unique character and nature, but also to achieve that improved safety and mobility, thinking about ways to better allocate space along the drives for all users, creating better separation, and also thinking comprehensively about the crossings on the drives. I'll also flag, as been mentioned previously, that we are looking to complement the new design on the drives in the park. We are looking to reduce the official speed limit from 20 miles per hour to 15 miles per hour. This speed limit will apply to all vehicles, so all cyclists and also other authorized vehicles within the park. That notification was sent back in December, and there is a 60-day notification period before it will go officially into effect. And when it does go into effect, you will see the speed limit signs that are currently on the drives will be updated to reflect the new 15 mile per hour speed limit. Wanted to show some of the recent improvements that have happened in the first phase of the redesign. This is on the West Drive, just south of 72nd Street. On the left is an example of what the drives looked like before, and then on the right is the updated new design. So some of the features that we really wanted to call out is showing that wider pedestrian space. We have also added in new signage, the Stop for Peds signs, which are meant to reinforce the rules of the road that cyclists and other authorized vehicles that are in the park must stop for pedestrians that are waiting to cross the drives. And we have paired those signs with updates to the traffic signals to be a flashing amber. And so the flashing amber and the stop sign and the Stop for Pets sign are meant to work together to reinforce the idea that everyone that are on the drives must stop for pedestrians who are crossing. Something that's not featured in this photo, but we are working to do is to add bike lanes to the traffic signals themselves. And I have an example of that I'll show very soon. And the hopes, again, is to really establish the language of the markings and the signage and the signals in the park that, again, the drives are no longer open to general vehicles. So we want to make sure that all the signs, markings, and traffic signals are geared towards the predominant people on the drives, including the cyclist. And then this is an example of the East Drive and Terrace Drive. Again, on the left showing the before, and then on the right showing the new improvements. This is like a particular intersection where you have east and westbound traffic, people on the drives going against like the main flow of the northbound on the drives. And so we really wanted to think critically about how to better clarify where people should be if you're a cyclist that are going east or west, or if you are on the main drive heading northbound. And some of those improvements included adding in a little bit of green paint, better clarifying with the markings about where people should be at this particular intersection. And again, as an example of this is an existing speed limit sign that will be updated to have 15 miles per hour. Some of the other improvements in the park included, as I was mentioning earlier, adding bike signal lenses to the traffic signals. So this is an example on the West Drive that has already been upgraded. The hope is to continue to work on this throughout this coming year to add these bike signal lenses to the remaining signals in the park. We've also added in painted rumble strips at select crossings. The intention behind those is to provide a visual cue and also something that if you're in a vehicle or a cyclist, you would feel as you're driving over them to kind of alert you that a crossing is coming and to slow down and stop. We've also installed at some locations the stop for peds message markings that are on the drives themselves to pair with the signage, again, for increased visibility and awareness. And then lastly, we've also installed look stamps to give a notice to pedestrians who are crossing the drives to be mindful that they are crossing both sort of the pedestrian lane, which is filled a lot with people running and jogging, and also to be mindful of as they are crossing the drives. Just some very high level data that we have collected recently about how the project is working so far. I do want to add a really important caveat that the project is still not fully implemented. We've only done the southern section of the park so far. And the implementation over the last year took quite a while to kind of implement. And so we can't speak too much to the overall effectiveness of all the different treatments, but this is something that we are continuing to collect data on and monitor, and want to share some preliminary results. So looking specifically at cyclist speed, the blue period is the months of from October 1st to December 1st before the new design. This was in 2024. And then the green bars are the same time period from October to December of this past year. And we can see that the average speeds have not significantly changed. The speeds have remained slightly higher in the early morning when there are fewer people in the park. And you can see this red dashed line shows the 15 mile per hour. That's, again, the new upcoming speed limit in the park. And for the majority of the day, those average speeds are well below. Also wanted just to note that the data collected specifically for this was at the near the Columbus Circle entrance. Another important aspect we wanted to understand was with the changes to the signals from a traditional red, yellow, green time to the flashing amber, how those are operating from a pedestrian perspective, looking at pedestrian delay. So how long are people having to wait in order to cross the drives? We looked at what percentage of pedestrians are waiting more than 10 seconds to cross the drives. And we looked at the same, this is on the West Drive just north of Columbus Circle. And we looked at on a weekday and on a Saturday morning, afternoon, and the evening before the signal changed and then after, just kind of see how those that percentage changed. And we saw that there was a decrease across all these time periods. So we see like a general improvement that people are having to wait, fewer people are having to wait to cross the drives. Of course, do want to flag that, this is one location that we have looked at. So definitely want to look at more locations to make sure that this is reflective across the drives, because again, this is just one location, but this is, an exciting thing to see. And then lastly, just talking very briefly about pedestrian safety, we've looked at the number of pedestrian injuries over the past 5 years on the drives. And we have seen that those injuries have remained at similar numbers over the past 5 years. Again, as I mentioned, in 2025, the project started implementation in March and went through pretty much until the end of the year. And so it's, again, really tricky to try to understand exactly the correlation between the design and have a full evaluation. But again, this is something that DOT is going to continue to collect and monitor and observe. And then lastly, I'll just wrap it up with going into the future, into the next phase of the project. So as I mentioned, in 2025, we completed the first phase, which is shown here in red on the map, essentially everything south of 96th Street on the west side and 90th Street on the east side. This year, we will be completing the northern section of the park, so what you see in blue on this map, with the updated 15 mile per hour speed limit going into effect in February. Then in March and early spring, we'll begin the resurfacing in the northern section, followed by the new markings, new signage, and updated signal infrastructure. And then as we continue to implement the second phase of the project and going into the future, we will continue to monitor, collect data and observations, and make sure that we are responding to the needs of the project as we continue. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Very helpful. Okay, Erica, were you planning to say anything right now?
No, Barbara, thank you. Not at this time. We're here to help with answering questions if they're for the Conservancy, David.
Okay, great. All right, which brings me up to the next point is, and that is that if you do have a question for one of the people who have spoken tonight, they're here, you can ask it, but please make it brief. You have both the question and the answer. We have a lot of people here and it's going to be a lot to get through tonight. Okay, so we're going to start with those people who are here and signed up to speak.
The first person on the list is Carl Mahaney. You can come up here. Yeah.
Honored to be first. Okay, I'm gonna kind of like look at some notes to keep it tight. So my name is Carl Mahaney. I direct Streetopia Upper West Side. I'm in the park every day with my son. We ride our bikes to and from his school. He plays with his friends after school and on weekends. In other words, we are on and across the drives every day. And our lived reality bears little resemblance to some of the horror stories of lawlessness and terrorized people that I've seen in some news accounts and heard on some social media platforms. Anecdotes that are often used to demonize those riding bikes, which is not very helpful. From my perspective, the ongoing design changes are very much working. The flashing yellow beacons, for example, are 1,000,000 times better than and more rational than the outdated traffic signals. And as the design changes continue to go in, there is of course an opportunity to learn and to improve. But design needs a chance to be fully implemented, and we heard tonight that it's still not quite done. So thank you to the agencies, to the Conservancy, and for you for having this forum.
Thank you.
Carl, I just wanted to mention to you that the CB7 workstations are completely and only for CB7 members. So I don't know how you were able to infiltrate your stuff on CB7 workstation, but please don't do that again. Thank you.
I don't have any idea what you're speaking about.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
truly don't know what you're talking about.
I ended up looking up into that. Yeah, it wasn't Carl, it was someone part
It
of.
has Carl's name on it.
No, I know, but it was someone on the board who added theirs.
Oh.
We can follow up afterwards.
Okay, then I apologize. I apologize. Certainly, all the open plans information for tonight was online on our private workspace.
We sent something out to
Yeah, well,
the people who are on our
take that
list,
on
not on your, I mean, I truly have no idea what your private workspace even is, what that means.
Okay,
But we send something out all the time. We send
okay,
newsletters.
well,
to
I apologize.
everybody.
I
So-
apologize.
so-
then.
so-
It's our
CB7.
Google Drive. No,
Okay.
no big.
Okay.
deal.
Okay,
It was just
thank you.
clarified. Thank you. We're calling on everybody in person first, and folks who signed up online for the speaker sign up sheet, and also the folks that are in the back that signed up for the speaker sheet in the back. The next person is Laura Sachs.
Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Sachs. I live on West 72nd Street, and I am in the park 7 days a week, both as a pedestrian and as a cyclist. I'm really encouraged and excited by the changes that I've experienced, and I'm really hoping that we can all give them a chance to do what they are inevitably going to do, which is improve pedestrian safety. We all want the same thing. I do want to mention two things. One is I was really excited about the Sam Schwartz presentation on 2 points. One is the transverse. So I commute from Long Island City to the Upper West Side. I commute through the park. I'm not doing the loop. I'm cutting through the park, and I cut through at 72nd Street because that's the only place that I can do so. I really think that using the 4 transverses that were designed by Olmsted & Box, particularly the one at 86th Street, which lends itself to give an opportunity to utilize the design and the multi-layers of the park to improve pedestrian safety and diminish the conflict between vehicles, bicycles, pedestrians. So
Okay,
I
thank
really,
you.
really am excited by that opportunity.
Thank
The
you.
other thing from the.
No,
select-
actually, time is up.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Just a note for everybody online, I see that there's some hands raised. We will get to you guys in a little bit. Please, you lower your hands for now. Just because the folks that are joining who have hands raised tend to be panelists. So please lower until we get to the public session online. The next person on the list is Renee Baruch.
Hello, I speak as an Upper West Sider of more than 46 years and the victim of a e-bike accident. I still bear the scars and disabilities of that 2023 accident, despite a week of hospitalizations and multiple surgeries. These things are horribly dangerous. The level of e-bike accidents in Central Park is vastly underreported. During a 6-week period in the fall of 2025, EVSA and Janet Schroeder documented 15 accidents involving e-vehicles, each of which required an EMS response. Yet the police department reported a single accident. When that was discussed at the Central Park precinct meeting, the police response was, "We don't know why." E-vehicle accidents were reported by the carriage drivers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next person on the list is Leah Boho. And I hope I'm pronouncing your names.
Hi, that's okay. I'm Leah Bojo. I live at 92nd Street and I use the park every day. I walk there with my dog. And I just wanted to say that I think we have obviously engaged experts who have made these design recommendations, and I feel strongly that we should, let them implement all of them and see how all of them are working before we make any big decisions. Personally, anecdotally, I think that the flashing yellow light works a lot better. People actually use it instead of just running reds, which I understand why they do. So I would ask that we fully implement those recommendations before we make changes. Thank you.
The next person on the list is Ira Gershenhorn.
Hi, my name is Ira Gershenhorn. I live at West 104th and Riverside Drive. And what happens in Central Park sets precedent for other parks. I'm a pilot with Cycling Without Age. And it's the only chapter in New York City. And a bill for no EVs in parks. We have an arrangement with Central Park, I'm told, but you don't want us to make arrangements with every park. Laws complicate, better to have a good design. And I agree with Carl about the differences between representation and actuality. When I've been in Central Park, it's never been a problem with people crossing. People get across. And I've been pedaling my trishaw around with two people in front, struggling to go as much as 10 miles an hour. He's right there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Next person on the list is Kevin Guzman. Kevin? Molly? Allison?
Molly Allison. Hi, a resident at 70% Broadway. And I am a cyclist. I've been cycling since I was in college. It's my primary mode of transportation. And I use the 72nd Street Traverse all the time, going through the park. I would like to say that I do not agree with the use of e-bikes in the parks. I was really happy to hear that there has been work done to create or to at least consider implementing bike lanes on the traverses, which I think is the safer place for those vehicles to be. And I also want to thank everybody for this meeting tonight and to all the people who are really working on this. Obviously, a lot of thought's gone into it, and it's very reassuring as a new New Yorker to see that people work together to improve the city.
Thank you. Chris Sanders? Austin Celestin?
I'm gonna talk to Alex or text
I prepare
Alex and tell him
conflict
to
to
move
move,
the
I'll try and
camera.
cut it in half. I'm Austin, I live on 65th West End. Obviously, I agree with the sentiments of let the design come to full fruition and let it work out. And obviously, it would be foolish for us to deny that the rate of accidents is increasing. We saw the chart is way above where it was before COVID, because e-bike usage is higher, but also it's a matter of safety there. And two, part of the reason that Central Park is used as the safest bike route in the city. It's the safest way to get through north to south, east to west. And if you were to go to the east side, there's no bike lane until Third Avenue. We do a little bit of a better job on the west side, we have Amsterdam, North, west, but there's no alternative. So the e-bike accidents are gonna be higher in the park. And if you saw the chart, you'll notice that a lot more of those accidents are on the east drive than they are on the west drive. So having those alternative routes, having the transverses under the park, and that's where our purview is. I can't advocate, to say, hey, CB7, tell CB8 to put bike lanes on Madison Avenue. I can't say that. But pushing for those alternatives, so everybody has a place to safely operate, that's going to reduce incentive for people to use it, and it's going to be a more convenient option. That's it, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Nick Studensky?
Hi, my name is Nick.
Please come over here.
I live on 72nd. I'm a pedestrian, I'm a cyclist, and I'm a runner. I'm in the park a lot. I echo a lot of what's been said. I definitely think there is a lot of conflict. I don't think the yellow signals have really made much of a change to that. I also think that the focus on e-bikes is a little bit misplaced because I see a lot of conflict, especially as we saw in the early morning hours with just like sport cyclists. There's definitely an issue there as well. So the speed limit is promising. I look forward to NYPD enforcement and information about that. Then just a few other points. In general, I think there are some points where like the running and pedestrian area is not large enough compared to the like double wide bicycle lane, especially on the west side here, just kind of near the Delacorte, like the walking path is like 4 feet. So I saw a comment about that. That was re-encouraging. I think that the stop for peds stuff on the ground, like as a cyclist, and the rumble strips, like you really notice them. So I think that's better than the yellow flashing. And then specifically like the beige material at some of the crossings as a runner is kind of slick.
Thank you.
So that specific material maybe.
Thank you. Andrew Rosenthal?
Hi, I live on West 78th Street and am a daily user of the park and have been for 45 years. There are over 60 miles of pedestrian-only paths in the park. Yes, sometimes bicyclists use those illegally, but right now, 60 miles. There are 7 miles where bicycles are legally allowed to go. We need to share those 7 miles. It is the only place anywhere near the Upper West Side, or all of Manhattan really, where it is safe for a bicyclist to work out. So we need to work on going back to the original geniuses who created the park, and they built underpasses to separate wheeled vehicles from pedestrians. We are not utilizing it. I saw point number 4 on one of the slides that Sam Schwartz says we need to encourage. I think we need to mandate where possible, not everywhere, but many crossings could be replaced by use of the underpasses, and we need to funnel pedestrians who want to cross into those underpasses.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Erica DiPiero?
Hi, everyone. Okay, so I live on 78th as a recreational biker. I'm often in the park early on the weekends with Tour de France as well. And I just feel, because I'm biking with my 10-year-old, I feel so much safer with the slow bike lanes. Like I love those clear markings, so thumbs up to that. As an e-bike rider, I sometimes use a city e-bike to travel west to east, east to west. So I'm all for like getting those alternate paths up and going. That's how we get around. And sometimes I don't want to be with a recreational biker. I just want to get to where I'm going. So as soon as, 72nd Street to East Drive to Terrace, like it's better. It's not perfect, but it's better. I walk the park at least once a week. And I appreciate the bi-directional walking because I feel like it's more predictable. And I didn't feel like the old traffic lights were appropriate. So I love all the different stuff, that they're doing for that. So I'm like, I'm loving it. I'm loving these changes so far. Let's keep going. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. David Vassar?
Hi, everyone. I'm David Vassar. I live in Morningside Heights, 123rd in Amsterdam. Work at Ford in the Lincoln Center. I'm a librarian there, and 5 days a week, if the weather allows, I bike to work. And typically it's down Columbus Avenue, which has a protected quote bike lane, but I feel so much better in the park right now because the protected bike lane is dominated by a lot of guys who are under pressure with their e-bikes to make those deliveries one after the other. I really feel for these guys. I want us to keep e-bikers in the park. Because otherwise the protected bike lanes will be deluged by increasing numbers of e-bikers, whom I'm totally in sympathy with. Let's not ban e-bikers. 8 seconds. Yeah, I really like the plan as is. It's fabulous. I love to walk this town too. I feel safer. The smooth asphalt is fantastic. I mean, I'm a little less paranoid, going down the north end to the exit on the new pavement. So thanks a bunch. Keep it up.
Thank you. We also have additional signups in person today. The first person is Judy Polson. When you introduce yourself, could you please tell us your affiliation with the Upper West Side?
I'm sorry, tell you my what?
Affiliation, how you're, yeah,
I live in the Lincoln Square area.
great, thank you.
And as you know, I've been there for 35 years. Two great joys of New York City are art museums and world-class medical care, both of which are on the other side of Central Park from where I live. I used to walk across the park routinely to reach museums and doctor appointments, but I no longer can. That's because the pedestrian crossings in the park are inoperative. Flashing amber signals do not protect the right to cross West Drive or any other drive at Central Park on foot. Bike riders make that clear, both verbally and in the way they drive. Pedestrian crossings need to be restored and bikes need to be licensed and registered to enable traffic enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you. Cameron Lee,
That was for the earlier presentation.
got it. Jessica McLean,
Same.
got it. Leslie Friedland. And again, when you introduce yourself, tell us your affiliation.
Okay. Hi, I'm Leslie Friedland, and I've lived on West 72nd since 1986. Central Park is vital to this city, and especially the Upper West Side and East Side. It brings so much to us. Thank you so much for looking into it, making it safer and more comfortable. I use it quite a bit. It is the lungs. It is amazing. I almost never feel comfortable crossing. Recently, or way back, I don't think a yellow light does it. There occurs things, oh, didn't see you. The red lights weren't enforced at all. So I think we need to look at something because we need to have everybody feel comfortable and be able to enjoy it in a way that we can use it safely. But thank you for looking into trying to make improvements.
Thank you. Emily Smith,
I don't want to speak. I just thought it was a sign and sheet.
got it. Is there anyone else here in person who would like to speak? Please come up. Yes, please introduce yourself. And your affiliation with the Upper West Side.
I'm Don Shanley. I live on West 74th Street. My big gripe is I'm in the park all week on the loop. And they seem to have taken the running lane away and made it a pedestrian lane. The problem for years has been pedestrians on the running lane. Having to work around them. You have to run into the bike lane. And now they're being invited onto the running lane and basically doing away with it. Not a good thing. I don't have a lot of time, so. One big problem as far as the crosswalks and the rest of it is you have two-way bike traffic on the north side of the lower loop. Two-way. The rest of the lower loop is one-way. You have converging traffic, one way going into two-way. It's like a liability nightmare. And I see accidents all the time in the park. How they ever came up with that before, and now they're continuing it.
Thank you.
Two-way traffic, one-way traffic, converging.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in person who would like to speak? Great. So we're gonna go online to our online community members. We're gonna go first with the folks who signed up. And I'm gonna go through that list. I'll give the first three names. It's gonna be Chris Sanders, Marcia Polis, and Nell Weissman.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I live just south of Central Park, and the reason I'm here today is because I want to express my gratitude for the DOT for presenting these wonderful changes. They'll make the park safer. I also want to lend my support for adding the bike lane to the traverses, because for me, when I'm going, like when I used to live in Harlem, and when I would always go through the park, but sometimes I would prefer to go along the side of the park, use the traverses to get to where I'm going. And so I think that would be a wonderful addition as well. All right, thank you so much for letting me speak.
Thank you. Is there a Marcia Polis online? I don't see you. If you signed on a different name, can you raise your hand?
Does this block, can you see everybody in here? Does this block everybody?
I think I see everybody. Next person is Nellie Weissman. You've been unmuted. You can go ahead and speak.
Good evening. I speak to oppose the 15-mile-per-hour speed limit that just been announced. A link to extended remarks is in the chat. In December, the mayor announced the change, citing Sammy's Law's authority. But bike clubs who trained in the drive for a century and who limit training to hours when the drive is less crowded were not consulted, nor were pedestrian safety advocates like Safe Streets Coalition, who spearheaded passage of Sammy's Law and have joined the bike clubs in opposition to the 15-mile-per-hour limit. DOT has offered no evidence that a blanket reduction will make anyone safer, and the park police have laws on the books safeguarding pedestrian right-of-way and sanctioning speeds unsafe for prevailing conditions, which is exactly what you want for curbing dangerous behavior on a shared use path. This is the tactics we should use, not a blanket reduction. Thank you.
Thank you. The next three speakers are William Castro, Marjorie Adams, and Hindi Schachter. William, you can go next.
All right, thank you. My name is Bill Castro, and I was the Manhattan Borough Commissioner for Parks for 20 years. I also helped develop and was head of the Parks Enforcement Patrol. It's a complex issue, as we can tell from listening to everybody this evening. I have three main points. One, the plan to divide the park into these lanes is a good idea, but the problem is that the enforcement of it will be very difficult. Over the years, Park Enforcement Patrol and the police do sporadic crackdowns and blitzes, but they don't last long. They're effective briefly, but then enforcement goes away. It'll be very difficult to enforce the speed limit as well as the lane separations, because bicycles tend to go in and out, as do pedestrians. Second, the plan to divert pedestrians to underpasses won't work. People go where they want to go, and they will go across the drives. And finally, the 86th Street Transverse Plan, make the bikers walk the bikes so that they can share the space with the pedestrians. They count on it for their safety. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next person is Marjorie Adams, or sorry, Hindi Schachter.
I'm Hindi Schachter. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
we can.
Good. I represent the community of people in their 70s and 80s who cycle and run in Central Park. If anyone needs safety, we need safety. In that regard, I thank you for going to yellow lights, which happen to work better than red lights, which were totally ignored. Yellow lights are different, so they do get some attention. Please make a park that works for everyone. Make a park that works for a slow rider like I am, but make a park that works for my many friends who have switched to e-bikes and who want to get recreation on e-bikes. Make a park that works for everyone. Don't ban. Spend your time organizing designs that will work for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next three speakers are going to be Leori Levin, Maxine Deseta, and Trevor Shade. I'm going to unmute you. Leori, you are next.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm a resident on the Upper West Side and live here, and a avid biker just to get to work into the hospital at early mornings. Very impressed and grateful with all of these changes by DOT. I'm like loving the new signals. I'm loving the signage, especially on the transverse around 72nd. I think the idea of a raised bike lane is terrific. I just want to like mark that. That's going to be really important to do that. And I'm also interested to see how the 15-mile-per-hour speed limit will be enforced. And if it will be enforced, I'd love to hear more about that too. Thank you all for your work on the park. I love it there.
Thank you so much. We have a Maxine Deseta online. Trevor Shade, you are unmuted. You can go ahead and speak.
Hi, thank you. It's Trevor Shade. I live at 82nd and West End. I appreciate most or all the design ideas in the briefing, so thank you. From the new signals to the signage to the crosstown transverse, it's awesome. As a parent, I ride both personally on my recreational bike and then also recreationally on my e-bike. I use an e-bike more often to get my son cross town. We have a lot of stuff we have to carry, and we move much faster, and not just faster, but I can't physically make it up and down certain areas of Central Park without an e-bike or e-bike assistant. We go across town for doctor's appointments, personal get-togethers. So I believe it's necessity to have that benefit. So thank you very much.
Thank you. There are a few of you, there are a few of you online that signed up that weren't here. If you signed up under a different name and I wasn't able to call on you, please raise your hand and I'll go through your, I'll get to you when we go through the list of folks that raised their hands. So I'm going to call on folks that have their hands raised. The next three people are Sandy Rayburn, Robin Maxwell, and Susan Zinder. If you could introduce yourself and tell us your affiliation with the Upper West Side. Thank you. Sandy Rayburn, you're first.
My deaf hearing impaired family member lives on West 71st Street, so I speak both for him and for me. I'm 81 years old, and I want to be very clear. The Central Park Drive redesign violates federal disability law. It's not merely bad policy, it's unlawful. Sam Gridlock Schwartz seems to have missed that. Under Title II of the Americans with Disability Act, 42 U.S.C. 12132 and its implementing regulations at 28 CFR 35, public entities may not operate programs, services, or facilities in manner that excludes, disadvantages, or subjects people with disabilities to unequal treatment. Motorized bicycles et al. Subject the disabled and mobility disabled to unequal treatment in Central Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you tell us your affiliation with the Upper West Side?
As I said, my deaf hearing impaired family member lives on West 71st Street.
West 71st. Thank you. Robin Maxwell, you're next.
Hi, thanks for.
Whoops.
She's muted. She was muted.
Robin, we can't hear you.
Hey.
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, sorry about that. I live at 87th Street at Central Park West. I am in the park every day, several times a day, often walking the dog, and my husband is a frequent cyclist. And all I would just say is anecdotally that my experience trying to cross the park drive is that absolutely no bicycle or e-bike ever yields to a pedestrian who looks like they're trying to cross. and that it's a game of chicken, and that you're right, if you take away the red lights, no one runs them, but neither does anyone yield. And it's really just a game of how quickly can you get across between cyclists. And the second piece I would say is that I think the elephant in the room is that the police don't seem to be enforcing any of this. And so these are all terrific ideas, but if, you know, basically motorcycles are going through Central Park and not being stopped, bikes on the paths not being stopped, and the pedestrian paths, what is the point of all these rules? Thank you.
Thank you. Susan Zinder?
Yes,
next.
hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I've lived at 80th and West End for 33 years now. And the last 15 years of my life, I have been the beneficiary of great exercise bicycling in Central Park through the loop. I never imagined I could do what I've done, and it's been a triumph. But I am concerned that the speed limit may be too low for those areas of the park that are downhill after really difficult uphills. I promise you, if I get to 10 miles an hour uphill, I am triumphant. But I have a lot of concerns about the downhill. And I also want to say that I have concerns about pedestrians who will see me 100, 200 feet away and will walk in front of me when I'm 10 feet away. I do yield, and I definitely yield, but pedestrians need to pay attention. I'm tired of people pushing strollers when they're reading their phones.
Thank you. Thank you. The next three people who are up are Ron Wisniewski, Susan Simon, and Mary Alford. You guys are muted. You guys are unmuted. You can go ahead and start. Ron Wisniewski, you're next.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello. I live in Hell's Kitchen, but I use the park almost every day. And I have to say that the thing that troubles me the most about the redesign of the loop is the difficulty in elderly people and the disabled, as the lady said before, in crossing this thing, because nobody yields. And what it's done is it scared people away from the park. In the presentation that was done earlier, there were time limit, 10 seconds, et cetera, et cetera. Well, a lot of that is the fact that people have stopped going to the park because they're afraid they can't get across the loop. They're afraid they're going to be knocked down. And they are knocked down every day, and those statistics are ridiculously wrong. So I think that e-bikes need to be banned from the park. There be no motor vehicles in the park at all. And nobody's trying to ban regular bicycles, but the e-bikes have to go. They are motor vehicles. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Susan Simon?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I live on Central Park West and 96th Street. I have for 45 years. I was an avid park goer up until 2 years ago when the pilot program was started in Central Park. I can no longer cross the road. I have been hit on a pedestrian path. I am frightened to use the park the way that I used to. But I'd like to read a letter that I have here from the chairman of urology at Lenox Hill. He shared this letter with some of us, and he said, I am currently in an ambulance with my wife who was struck by a bike while walking across the pedestrian crosswalk in Central Park with the
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mary Alford?
Should she maybe
can you
put
hear
the
me?
letter into the chat?
Can you hear me all right?
Susan, if you want to put your letter, the letter into the chat,
we'll see it there.
Keep it on the record, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Mary.
Hi, thanks for doing this. I'm at West 109th and Manhattan Ave. I've been a rider for 50 years. As a pedestrian, I've been sideswiped twice and knocked down once on Park Drive. I think 15 miles an hour on average is good. I'd like you to restore the red lights. I'm not sure the yellow ones are effective. Rumble strips, great idea. E-bike lanes on transverses are better than on Park Drive. I'd like to see all e-vehicles licensed. I'd like to see installed traffic cameras and speed measurement at lights and crosswalks. I know this is expensive and hard to do. I'd also like to see enforcement at red light stops. And I'd like it to be followed up by dedicated DOT or park traffic division. So again, enforcement is very hard. And I thank you for working on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. The next three people are Sarah Scherber, Roberta Simon, and Sarah Sachs. You guys have been unmuted. Sarah, you are up next. Sarah Scherber.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi. I'm Sarah Scherber. I live on West 74th Street. I am in the park several times a day. I used to be a cyclist. Now I'm just a pedestrian. I think part of the big problem with the revamping with the yellow lights is that most people who are on bikes don't know that yellow lights mean they still have to stop for pedestrian. And the signs that they put up on either side of the roadway, bikers don't look at those signs. They go straight, right? So, and you have to take a time to figure out what those signs mean. So I think putting on the road that bikers must stop would be a great improvement. I also think putting a sign right underneath the flashing light that says you must stop would be a big improvement. But I agree with everybody who says, like, it's not enforced, right? Nothing ever happens. I have been screamed at when I cross that they have the yellow light and they have the right of way. I don't understand why there's never any enforcement on any of the rules in Central Park. And that would be my biggest request.
Thank you. Roberta Simon.
Yes. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Roberta Simon and I live in Columbus Circle. And I run or rollerblade in Central Park every day, sometimes twice a day, weather permitting. And listening to all this lovely talk about the redesign and the bikes and the e-bikes and everybody needs to share the road. But a little over a year ago, I was running in the pedestrian lane coming down West Drive. I don't really know this because I was hit by a 16-year-old kid on an e-bike from behind, and I woke up 4 days later after having brain surgery. Now, these e-bikes should not be in the park. They are motor vehicles. I'm not saying get rid of the bikes. I'm not saying get rid of anything, but they are motor vehicles. And a common thread here is the enforcement. There is no enforcement. These e-bikes don't have tags. There's no insurance, and there's no way to tell if a kid is distracted on his phone or what have you. But, you know, there are a lot of accidents that happen that are maybe not reported. I was one of the lucky ones because there were police on site. I see my time has run out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah Sachs. Sarah, you have to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hi.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Sachs, and I'm a resident of West 57th Street, and I use Central Park all of the time as a cyclist, as a pedestrian, as a urban dweller needing public space. And really, I am part of a run club that meets on the Upper East Side of the park, and they meet on a weekly basis. And the only way for me to safely get there is using a bike, and I use the City Bike program where sometimes I take an e-bike. So having various ways to get there where I can still get there without needing to worry is super ideal. So having the various modes of transit so that I can safely get to where I need to be. Otherwise, I'd be forced outside of the park, which feels very dangerous and congested, where there's really no other way to get to where I need to be by using my own legs. So I feel very strongly in support of this redesign, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next two folks to speak are Ellen Sills Levy and Elizabeth Chow. Ellen, you have been unmuted.
Thank you. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
I live on the east side. I live on East 86th Street. I'm in the park almost every day. I applaud the efforts that are being made. I have been knocked down by a cyclist who said he didn't see where he was going and he was on a pedestrian path. In addition to which, I'd like to say that these e-bikers are on the actual pedestrian walkways all the time, and they don't care. It doesn't matter what I say. My family's always afraid that I'm going to be killed because I say something back and get really nasty things yelled at me. Please do something about enforcing cyclists and these electric bikes away from the sidewalks in the park, the actual pedestrian paths, not the roadways.
Thank you. The next person to speak is Jake Smith. Jake?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep. So hi, my name is Jake Smythe. I live in the Lincoln Center neighborhood, the Upper West Side. Love the DOT stat about the increase in, the decrease of crossing time for the crosswalks. That's because I'm literally sprinting across the crosswalk in order to avoid the cyclists. They don't stop, right? I don't really think we should beat around the bush. They don't stop. They didn't stop when it was a red light. They don't stop when it's a yellow light. I see pregnant women with strollers, and yet they don't have to pay attention. It's a crosswalk. If they want to walk in the crosswalk, that's their right, and cyclists should yield to them. Also, any mandate to use the archways is lunacy as well. So, yeah, something needs to be done. The DOT clearly hasn't done enough, and I think there's too many cooks in the kitchen as well. Haven't heard from my council member. Central Park Conservancy has never responded to me. So, yeah, thank you all for the comment. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Elizabeth? Have you
Yes,
spoken?
thank you. Yep, can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. Yes, I live on 83rd Street on the east side, but I'm a regular user of the park, although far less frequently recently. The introduction of electric motor vehicles into our park and the redesign of the Central Park drives in surrender to them are a tragedy and a perversion of our park from a place of recreation and relaxation to a high-speed superhighway for delivery drivers and commuters. Simply put, there is no such thing as pedestrian safety while crossing the drives anymore. Even though New York City law requires that pedestrians always have the right of way on multi-use paths like the drives, in Central Park today, the onus is on pedestrians to beware or be run down. The very organizations mandated to protect and preserve our parks as places of refuge and sanctuary have instead invited the chaos and danger of motor vehicles right into the only place we New Yorkers can go to get away from motor vehicles. And there is never any enforcement of the rules, which is absolutely true. So ban e-bikes from the park, please.
Thank you. The next two folks are Summer Gentry and Andrew Fine. You guys can go ahead and speak. Whoops, I didn't.
Hello, I'm Summer Gentry. I'm here representing the E-Vehicle Safety Alliance, and I want to speak recommending a ban on e-bikes in the park. I have a colleague, a
Might as well
surgeon.
like pause it.
Okay, well, that
Only 1 minute.
Go ahead, we go from there.
Okay, so anyway, I have a colleague at NYU who is a surgeon at NYU who has been out of work for a year because he was hit by an e-bike that was speeding on a pedestrian path in Central Park. He was hit and they severed his Achilles tendon. This is a life-altering injury. I do not understand why e-bikes are allowed in our parks at all. Parks are not for the purpose of transportation. They're there for recreation. And there should never have been a bicycle there, but e-bikes are especially dangerous. E-bikes are motorcycles. E-bikes are incredibly heavy vehicles. Getting hit by an e-bike is so severe that e-bikes should always be banned from our parks. And we should have Priscilla's law so that this can be enforced.
Thank you. Thank you. Andrew?
I paused when we lost it.
Sorry. I second what Summer said. I want to speak for Janet Schroeder from West 71st Street, the founder of the E-Vehicle Safety Alliance, who had a work obligation this evening and could not make it. We have 1,440 members, 120 victims of e-vehicle violence. If you want to know more about us, go to nycevsa.org, nycevsa.org. I put 2 million steps into Central Park in the last year. And I want to say, have you ever heard of the ADA? You cannot make an improvement in a drive without improving. You cannot make it less accessible. We have now gotten rid of audible pedestrian signals. They've bagged the walk signals in burlap. These are things that are unlawful and discriminatory. And since this is a Q&A, I want to know why the Central Park Conservancy is doing this and what consideration they have for seniors and disabled. Thank you for your time. I did it in 60 seconds or less.
Thank you. We also have a few written in comments and questions. The first one is from Ellen Roth, who lives at 455 Central Park West. Do you want to read it or you want me to read it?
No, sure, go ahead and
This
read
is
it.
not on timer, right?
No, I'm just going to read it very quickly. Let's see. I'm not able to attend, but I want to send you my comments. E-bikes are not bikes, rather they are motorcycles disguised as bikes. They are a bigger threat to pedestrians than cars. Cars usually stay on the road, stay in their lane, stop at red lights, and can be seen and heard from far away. Moreover, they can be ticketed. In contrast, e-bikes go all which ways on the city bike lanes, including one going up and down Central Park West. Have no sound, so you don't hear them coming. Rarely stop at red lights, rarely give pedestrians the right of way. They are not licensed, so there's no accountability, and the NYPD can't chase them. Taking over the CPW bike lane is bad enough, but allowing them in park, which should be reserved for relaxation, is outrageous. There are seniors and children trying to enjoy the park. One accident is too many. I used to contribute to Central Park, but stopped once they started allowing e-bikes. Central Park has all kinds of sign. It needs to ban e-bikes, mopeds, pedicabs, electric scooters, and keep the park for real bikes and pedestrians.
Okay, we have one more speaker online.
Thank you. We have one additional speaker, Joanne Wanamaker. You're free to talk.
Oh, sorry, I hit that in error,
No problem.
but thank you.
No problem.
I have another,
Go
I
ahead.
have a question for DOT. Do you have this one, the best number? Yeah, this one.
Christina was on here. Didn't she talk about this? You wanna?
There's also someone, Elaine, raised hand, do you see Elaine?
Well, we're gonna.
She's physically raised.
Yes, hi, I'm Elaine.
Wait, wait one moment, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, appreciate it. Okay, you're on.
Go ahead.
I'm Elaine Gamble. I've been a resident of the Upper West Side for almost 30 years. Have really enjoyed being a part of this community. One of my favorite activities was walking around the reservoir in Central Park. But now e-bikes are even on that reservoir. And that peaceful, kind of relaxing, something that was great for my mental health experience, I no longer feel I can have. And I would definitely favor banning e-bikes from Central Park. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have Carrie Michaels, who has their hand raised. You're unmuted. You can talk.
Thank you. Hi. Appreciating the opportunity to share here as a steering committee member of the NYC EVSA. We have many, many victims in Central Park, including myself, from e-bikes and scooters, both city bikes and deliveristas, because none are regulated, including no license plates, no accountability. The speed limit really doesn't make a difference unless there's some sort of accountability. I don't know why the e-bikes are a privileged class, and the serenity and calm of Central Park, which is the core of the mission statement, to provide a respite from the city, is not paramount. I really am especially furious this week when we're facing so many totalitarian moves in the country, forcing us to say, see, believe, and hear other than what it is. This is the same thing. Do not tell me that it's not dangerous, and don't tell me that the redesign is great, because it isn't. The redesign is horrible, and even this place where I was hit in the park has not been adjusted. Thank you so much. I am totally against any e-vehicle in the park. been riding for 30 years.
Thank you. Those are all the questions we have. We also have a few open questions. I think these are ones that we can forward directly to our panels.
Some of these are raised hand here too.
Oh, no, okay.
Raised hand, okay, good.
Nina Fleiss, your hand is raised. You are unmuted. You can talk.
Yes, I just want to add to what everyone was saying that one of the things that was said, it's very quick to get across now, and that's because people have to run for their lives. I live on the east side and I walk in the park all the time. My husband bikes in the park, and as someone else said, the reservoir is no longer safe. You cannot get across 90th Street most weekends without holding your breath and praying, literally praying and running. Bikes are coming sometimes in the wrong direction. They're coming fast and furious. And a lot of tourists think that the amber lights are yellow lights like you see in the streets, which means hurry up and speed up because it's going to turn red. So they don't even understand what the yellow lights are for. And to have e-vehicles in the park is a sin. It's the only respite we have from a crazy, crowded city. And this makes it like a place I no longer contribute to the Conservancy, and I feel like moving.
Thank you. Thank you. We also have Ann Sherman and Jennifer Waltz. Both of you have been unmuted, and you can, and Ann, you can speak first.
Yes, hi. I'm in support of the e-bikes being much more restricted than they are right now. I second what the woman just said just now, is that on a roadway, cars are understood when they see a flashing yellow light, that they are to slow down, almost a rolling stop, look and see, be in caution and proceed. So I feel there's going to be tremendous confusion about that. I also feel, and maybe this has been presented and I've somehow not seen it written out, that there needs to be there needs to be licensing of the bikes to begin with. I know that the park can't really be the administrator of that, but there needs to be cameras and registration so that therefore so that speed can be regulated.
Thank you.
Okay.
Jennifer, you are next. You can go ahead and speak.
Hi, thanks. So I'm at 99th and Riverside. I've been on the Upper West Side for 20 years, and I've been using the park primarily for walking, running, relaxation. I also have cortical blindness and some other neurological disabilities. And I think that I don't disagree with everything about the redesign. I think that it seems like no thought was given for accessibility and how blind and vision impaired people, such as myself, would be able to cross the drive. Right now, I have to just cross my fingers as I cross the drive. It's terrifying because, as everyone I think on this call knows, there's a lot of fast-moving cyclists and scooters that don't yield to pedestrians, don't look out. They expect the pedestrians to watch out, but I can't see. I can't look for them.
Thank you. Thank you. So that our next speaker is Shula from Gail Brewer's office. Hi. If you could come up so we can hear you. Yeah.
Voice.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi, Shula. I'm Shula. I'm Councilmember Brewer's chief of staff. I mostly want to thank everyone for being here, and also, of course, the community board for hosting this important forum. A lot of it reflects the conversation and comments we've gotten to our office. I would also say, I'd be remiss in saying, particularly the conversation around the transverses. I think back in October 2022, before that, we've written letters about it to the agencies and to the Conservancy. We get a lot of conversation in our office, mostly criticism, I would say, about the condition of the drives. Not only wanting there to be a way the bikes can go back and forth, but I think for any of us
who's been, even since 2022 and before, actually tried to transverse those, whether with a stroller or just walking or whatever that is for pedestrians and cyclists and all users. They're in terrible condition and unsafe for a variety of reasons. And so we would definitely love to see for all the transverses, not just the ones that we're pinpointing today, some work being done on those sooner than later in repairs, and then moving towards a bigger plan to make it easier for all users. And thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Shu. I wanted to give the people that we invited tonight from DOT, CPC, NYPD, if you would like to respond to anything that you heard tonight, please do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Captain?
I would just like to say, as it goes for enforcement, I think there were some questions about enforcement. I think last quarter we wrote over 100 summonses to e-bikes, way more than we ever did the year before. So there is enforcement. But there are hundreds of bikes in the park. So if you don't see it, though, cops are out there. They're enforcing the law. When it came to speed enforcement, yes, speed enforcement is not easy with bicycles because you have to have somebody specifically trained, a LiDAR gun, and a LiDAR gun actually shoots the front of a car and reflects back. The frame of a bicycle is very narrow, which makes it impossible to shoot. So speed enforcement is tough, but what we can enforce is the reckless operation of an e-bike when you are traveling at a high rate of speed and maybe fail to yield to a pedestrian. Then a criminal summons can be issued for reckless operation of an e-bike for our most serious offenders. I think there was a question posed about speed cameras. And I think I've heard the chief of patrol speak about this, is that speed cameras are kind of ineffective in a sense that once people know where they are, they just slow down for the camera and then continue to speed, and does not help do speed enforcement. We see that in many areas in the city where they have put speed cameras and they are marked on all kinds of navigation apps and everything like that, just denoting where they are. But our officers are out there. I know there's, a little lull in e-bike usage in the park right now, and bike usage in general because of the weather conditions, but my officers will be out there enforcing the law. And like I said, we've done outreach along with enforcement, and we have variable message signs on both the East and West Drive telling people the new speed limit, yield for pedestrians, and those speed signs to let people know how fast they're going and how fast the speed limit is. And I think last quarter, like I said, with our outreaches, we handed out over 4,000 flyers about the new drive and pedestrian safety.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's Colleen. I just want to commend the captain because we work very closely with him, our agency and the Central Park Conservancy, and him and his team have been doing a fantastic job. So thank you so much, Captain Magalenti.
Thank you, Colleen.
We're gonna get to ask questions ourselves. Thank you.
We have one additional
Can we
public
ask
member who would like
Absolutely.
to
It'll
ask
be
a
next.
question or speak. Carrie Michaels, you are unmuted. You can speak.
Yes, hi, thank you, because the time was limited. I want to alert the DOT because they're there. I don't know why this hasn't changed. I've been calling and writing. The signals for the blind are covered in burlap. And I'm really, blind people can't cross the street as well as elderly and disabled because the signals are covered in burlap, as well as the light adjacent or across is also covered. And this is a violation of the American for Disabilities Act. It's a federal law. So I'm really upset by this because I know disabled people. I have disabled people in my family, and there's blind people that walk in the park. The lights for the blind should not be covered in burlap. It's been that way since August 6th. If not before. So can we please correct that, Ms. Chattergoon? Can we please correct that from the DOT? I've complained about this at the Central Park Precinct meeting, and I actually was dismissed, saying that, oh, whatever the police says is not always paid attention to by the DOT. It's inexcusable. I don't understand.
Thank you. Thank you. We are done with the public comments in session.
Okay, great. So our last user group here are our own board members. So members of, let's say, we'll take Parks and Environment first and then Transportation. Is that okay with you guys, or do you want to go first? Either way.
Why don't we let her
Want
go
me
first?
to go first?
Yeah, alternate.
Okay, let's alternate. Okay, so let's start with Ken.
Okay, I had questions for, two questions for the captain and one question for, the conservancy, so.
Am I
and
timing this? Not the board discussion, okay.
No, I don't. The captain, thank you for coming. Could you tell us, you said you wrote 100 tickets, to e-bikers. Could you tell us, what those consisted of? And also another question is the 15-mile-an-hour speed limit. The last time we had that was in 2011. And, the precinct camped out at the bottom of the hill near the skating rink and the pool and wrote tickets to cyclists who were, these are just, e-bikes weren't around then. Cyclists were going down the hill about 20 and they were getting tickets. I don't want to give you any ideas, but I want to make sure, I want to see if you're making any accommodations, particularly for the cyclists who train in the park very early in the morning between 6 and 8.
Well, when we write summonses, they have to be correct, right? And they have to be able to be legally written and be able to be prosecutable in whatever court that they're returned to. We issue a lot of summonses for oath violations, which are, bikes that are not on the right paths. And then we issue some for bikes that are going the wrong way on the drive too as well. And some of those summonses are returnable to Traffic Violations Bureau, some are returnable to Oath Court, Administrative Court, and some of them are returnable to Community Court, Criminal Court. So it's a mixed bag of summonses, but yeah, and the speed trap idea has been imposed, but we have to find a way to issue those summonses, and we have to see what court the new speed limit is returnable, because it's not going to be able to be returnable to Traffic Violations Bureau because it's not in the VTL, it's in the city charter. So we have to probably return those summonses to Oath Court and figure out how that's enforceable, which is more likely to enforce the reckless operation than the actual speed right now.
And are there any provisions for the cyclists who train or very early in the morning before 8 a.m.?
They are in the park. We know about it. We know that they want to train at that time, but they are still subject to the rules of the park. So they are liable to those rules if they violate them. Sometimes, because the park is less crowded, we understand that they want to train, but they have to do it in a manner that's safe to the public too. So, we look at that, and they're not exempt from the law, although it's probably the better time to do some of that training.
Okay.
If people want to participate in high-speed races, they should sign up with these groups that do them. They get permits for the events. They have marshals at the crossings to ensure it's done safely.
Right. Okay, I had a couple of questions for the Conservancy. One is, the first one is, the flashing yellow to the most of the world means caution and yield. And I think that's what you intend, is for cyclists to yield, but the pavement markings say stop. And that seems like we're sending mixed messages. Is there any, I realize you've already put down the pavement markings, but what, I think what we really want is for people to yield. And that would be sufficient, wouldn't it?
Well, I can take a first go at this, but yeah, the flashing yellow lights are indicating to bikers to yield, and then the stop for peds means if there are pedestrians at that crosswalk waiting to cross or crossing, of course, you are then to stop. So the flashing yellow light is meant to be seen from a further distance. It's meant to alert people to begin to yield. And then if there's pedestrians, they must stop.
Oh, can I clarify something? So, because some of the yellow lights are just yellow lights, like it's 70 seconds, and then some of them are yellow lights and also say stop for peds. So you're saying like, if I'm biking and I come to the yellow lights and there's no stop for peds, like there's no stop for ped sign, and I see a person in the crosswalk, do I like slow down and move away from that person, or do I stop?
You should always stop for pedestrians if there are pedestrians in a crosswalk.
Just the law. It's not a sign. Okay, so anywhere in the crosswalk, yellow
Yeah.
light,
And
stop.
I mean, especially around the 72nd Street transverses, there are a handful of full red lights that do still exist within the park because we recognize that those interchanges are particularly fraught and do require an additional level of signalization.
I'll also just add from DOT that yeah, again, the flashing yellow is meant to, as Erica and David were saying, you know, it's also it's a warning, but it does mean that if there is a pedestrian present who is wanting to cross, that a cyclist must stop for the pedestrian to cross. But if there's no one in the crosswalk, then a cyclist can proceed. And so that is the intentionality behind the flashing yellow and combining it in addition to the signage and also the pavement marking. So there are, you know, multiple indications of the rules of the road.
Okay, and that just my last question, as has been said, there are 47 traffic lights in the park. You haven't repaved north of about 90th Street. Do you have any plans to eliminate some of the traffic lights in the less congested portion of the park?
Go ahead, Esteban.
Yeah, so across for the whole park, we took a look at all the crossings and determined specific crossings where the pedestrian volume was particularly high and are around like particularly important attractions or places that are particularly busy, and we have kept those as the timed red, yellow, green signals. But for other crossings, the remaining crossings are meant to, the intention is for them to be the flashing yellow.
Well, what I was referring to is getting rid of the signal infrastructure entirely, like up at near 110th Street.
Yeah, at the moment, not intending to remove any of the signal infrastructure, at least yeah.
Thank you. Is there someone from Parks who'd like to go next?
Sure. Yeah, hi, my name is Hayden Brockett. I'm on the board from Parks and Environment. I just wanted to ask, I was really heartened by the progress that we've made thus far. I know that there's a lot of concern that the progress is not complete. And obviously we read in the paper that Deputy Mayor for Operations Kirsten said this weekend the prior administration had delayed some projects. So I will not ask DOT about why things are in the status that they are right now, but I have two questions. First, I wanted to ask whether you anticipate any delays in fully implementing the slide that we saw. Do you think you're going to be able to meet that timeline? Because I think that's going to be important for folks. And then second, if you can give us a sense of what more in terms of the medium term is being planned, and when, if any, timeline we can have about that, specifically around those high conflict crossings that I know are in the medium term.
Sure, yeah. For relating to the schedule, yeah, we're very confident that we will have a good start and be able to implement the project, hopefully completing the rest of the redesign ideally around the summertime. Don't have an exact timeline for that, but that is the intention. The hope is that, or the benefit is that the second phase of the park is much smaller in scale. The first part of the park we essentially tried to do, 2/3. So that was, a very large area to cover. In terms of the other additional recommendations, I do not have, I can't speak to a timeline at this moment. Thank you.
Sorry, just to follow up, when do you think you'll have a timeline? Is it just so everyone who's here?
Timeline.
Yeah,
Timeline.
exactly. I would like to know when we can, when we can expect a timeline. And if you don't have that answer, that's okay. I'd just like for you to come back to us so that we can communicate that to everyone.
Yeah, we can come back. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Sure.
There are a lot of concerns about the redesign not being ADA compliant, so I was just hoping you could address that.
Sure. Yeah, so I think, one of the key goals of the design and the project was to, better align the drives and the expectations among all the users in the park. So everyone who are, crossing the drives and all the users, and, sort of recognizing that the existing setup wasn't really working well. There were a lot of challenges with people stopping at the red lights. And so one of the hopes is that with switching to the flashing amber, but maintaining at a few key locations the red, yellow, green signal, which will still maintain the audible pedestrian signals, is that we hope to really encourage and promote compliance at those like key locations. And then for the remaining crossing locations, just better aligning that essentially they were being treated as kind of like stop sign crossings to begin with. And so now we're better aligning expectations. So everyone who is coming to, whether you're a cyclist or a pedestrian, kind of understand that like it is a shared space, it is a park condition, and to be mindful of your surroundings as you're sort of crossing the drive.
Sorry, on the ADA topic, I would just ask that all users consider the fact that the Americans with Disabilities Act covers everyone who needs assistance, be it electronic or otherwise. So if we're going to be banning things, we need to consider that that itself might violate the ADA when it comes to people who use mobility scooters. We all know that in this city, as in many cities, people with mobility scooters are in the streets because of our poor design, our street design. I'm not putting the DOT on blast, but our street design puts people who need ADA compliance in the streets. I would really hate to have some sort of ADA issue if we were to fashion any ban that would, for people who need e-assist on their cycles, for instance. So just to think about that
You could do it
argument
with a
cuts both
security
ways.
dog, you know what I'm saying? Like you have a security dog in a restaurant and that's okay, and then if you've got, and I'm not saying that, so you make, in other words, you can make compromises for services, service dogs, right?
That's certainly one idea.
Yeah.
I would just want everyone to consider both sides of how that ADA argument cuts.
Okay.
Also, motorized scooters have like an ID, they have
Yeah.
an AT.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's kind of apples and oranges. At that point. I'm gonna shut up, sorry.
The commanding officer of the Central Park Precinct, Timothy Maliente, I apologize to you because I just realized that you were recently promoted to deputy inspector and you're no longer a captain, so I apologize. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. Oh, Alex, this is Alex Bell. I think everybody knows him, but he's our chair.
Inspector Alex Bell. Barbara and I actually met Barbara yesterday in Central Park to do an on the grounds effort to try to feel everyone's pain and feelings. Met her on my e-bike with my two kids, who I often bike to the park because it's difficult parking with more kids on the back. We walked as Barbara can attest, we walked very slowly, sometimes painfully slowly, awkwardly slowly. Me holding the two kids' hands across the drive, back and forth. They probably thought we were going insane. Interestingly, two people did stop completely. And they were both e-delivery guys, which was quite interesting. And they gave a wave, and I should have asked, thank you for stopping, but we didn't say anything. I think I will say, there were like probably 2 or 3 clear examples of the bicyclists just definitely could be way safer than they were. All 3 of those examples were, I don't know, the Lance Armstrong exercise guy in Lycra.
Yeah.
And weekend warriors. And I think what definitely we both noticed, which made it worse, is those 3 guys went in front of us, right? So we're walking very slowly, like painfully slowly. Most people slowed and then went behind us, so that if I was to dart or the kids start running, no issue. But then 3 of the guys ran in front, which is definitely not great. But again, these were not the e-bikers. I mean, in general, these were the more Lance Armstrong type. So I think the e-bike thing is difficult for me because it's not exactly what I see. I see a problem off with lots of bikers. But it doesn't necessarily seem to me to break down purely based on the type. But going back to one of the things.
What time of day?
What time was this? 10 o'clock? 10:30?
It's 8:15.
No, what time was it? What time was it?
On your excursion.
We got there at 10 o'clock.
10
The
o'clock,
experiment
yeah,
was
10
at
o'clock
10
to, yeah, 10
On
to,
on a Sunday?
10, yeah, 10 to 12, yeah. Nice.
busy.
Yeah, it was.
There were many runners and walkers, and there were very few bikers, and we were really surprised.
There were less bikers.
Very
There were a lot of-
unusual,
They were in
small
church.
number.
I think the one thing I would say, yeah, about the redesign. I understand I understand that part of the technical idea is if you put up a red light, then people assume that this stopping is gonna happen. And then the stopping is not happening. And so you're like trying to make the cognitive load more, similar to like making streets tighter, which people say is safer because the cognitive load on the driver is now higher. You must drive more carefully. I think the thing that Barbara and I talked a lot about at length is that may be true from a safety perspective, but it greatly decreases the happiness of the people walking across. Because as we know, there's this now is increased fear and perception that it's much more difficult. So I don't think that was really part of the DOT's, I don't think that was fully thought out in the redesign. In that it may increase the safety in the park, but it totally makes a good number of people feel way more concerned.
Right.
So I think as we see the rest of this rollout, go with the rest of the park, I do think it's safety is important, but then also the perception of safety. And then are we increasing the cognitive load to the point where people feel like, oh, I don't, it's too much to walk across the park. Those are just my reactions.
Do you want to talk about the painted rumble strips, or should I?
Oh, yeah, I rode across the rumble strip. It rumbles, but I don't know that.
No, but the point I'm making is that we observed almost every biker going around the rumble strips.
Oh.
So they didn't have the inconvenience and riding on the pedestrian path that is alongside the crosswalk.
Yeah, we did see that.
So,
Extend it out.
yeah.
What street were you?
72nd.
Okay, well, I just wanted to say, anecdotally, for me, I've lived in the neighborhood for 12 years. I walk across the park probably once a day, and I cross at 87th. There's, the bikes, and the flashing yellow, I think, has actually been more helpful than the red, because it just kind of, I remember when it first appeared, I was like, wait, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And it just became okay, I think we're all just gonna be mindful of each other. I think the bicyclists see it and they're like, it's like, all right, let's all look both ways here. So I think it's been helpful. And then just an additional thought, I think if you're a person who's anti e-bikes, I think you should know you're contributing to the issue by ordering delivery as often as you do.
Yeah.
So, think about it, guys.
I thought we were asking questions. Is it part of the DOT's plan to consider bulb outs at certain crossings? Because like Alex was saying, we have those in our daylighting that is, I'm sure, just gonna get started right away on our streets, which will make biking safer on our streets, and people will be less needing to use the park for their, traveling. Are bulb outs something for pedestrians that you guys are considering? And if not, why not? Or will you consider and report back?
Sure. Just to clarify, when you're mentioning bulb outs, are you envisioning something that's built in concrete or a painted treatment?
You guys are the experts. No, in all seriousness, I don't know what's best in terms of paint and bollards. Paint and bollards are better than nothing, right?
Definitely, yeah. So I'll speak to one of the challenges working on the drives and thinking about additional types of treatments to implement is recognizing that the drives are used for lots of different users and events. And so there's a lot of concerns about having certain types of like vertical elements that would make it difficult for the various types of races and other events that take place on the drive. So that's one concern that we are having, but we are definitely open to continuing to, look and think about additional design treatments that could be implemented. And so welcome those recommendations.
Lottie, please.
Hi, thank you for being here. Have you considered, looking at areas in the park where where there would be e-bikes and then places where e-bikes would not be, able to operate in the park, like dividing it, creating like sections? I think maybe something like that, like, would be of support. Like, there are areas where there's no parking anytime with the red signage, no matter who it is, whatever. And then there's areas where, you can park here, there's meters here. So if you're thinking about the park in that way, maybe, it'll be of support to all the constituents and all the stakeholders and the community at large. Have you thought of that?
Somebody want to answer?
Where specifically in the park are you, inquiring about?
Well,
Like,
Colleen, I'm talking about in general, like if you say between 59th and 65th, that's an e-bike area. The minute you get into the residential area of the park, because there's children, there's the elderly, there's, the folks that, have wheelchairs, that have a lot of needs. Above 72nd Street, no e-bikes, so you get a ticket or whatever. I mean, I'm not here I was asking if you thought of something like that.
so
Because
you're asking if we've thought of restricting like e-bikes to use or access certain areas within the area? Because that's something we wouldn't do.
oh, you would not do that, okay.
No, yeah, we would not do that.
Anybody else? Yeah, Doug.
So a couple of things, some of the questions I had were already answered. I do hope that the ADA issue is addressed. Obviously, it's very it's a very important issue. I think people's framework when riding, walking, driving goes back to if you are a licensed driver or your DMV licensing. Yellow flashing obviously does mean slow down and yield. Red flashing means stop and yield. Red is stop until you have a green. So I think there's some confusion because a lot of people's framework is from their original, studying of the road. So I think there's obviously some confusion. I think we're going to need some clarity. One question I had, and if you already covered this, forgive me, but on the transverse, I really like the idea of being able to cross on the transverse. I know we talked a lot about the articulated buses and the select service buses. Has that been thoroughly studied along with the MTA that these buses have enough clearance? I also note that there's a lot of flooding that happens in the transverses that have to be addressed because that happens regularly. And are we talking about, and again, if you already said this, forgive me, but are they absolutely protected bike lanes in the transverse so that if a car were to lean in, we would avoid a catastrophe? And then one last question after this for the NYPD, but if you could address what I said so far, that would be great.
I mean, I think I can take a stab at that and maybe some other things too. But first, just as a main point, I want to say thank you for this hearing. This kind of feedback is really important to us. And I want to underscore that like all of this is meaningful and will be considered by us. In terms of the transverses, there was a fairly careful study really to look at whether there was enough space down there for everything, especially at the places where they go through the tunnel. And the head clearance is kind of low on the sides because those are arched tunnels. And the long and the short of it is that there is enough space down there to do it. It's not without its challenges. I think the main thing that the DOT has to contend with is that there are light poles and there are fire hydrants down there that if you're going to make a really safe passage, you would need to move. And I can say that that is a conversation that I think is still active. I don't want to speak for the DOT, but making those transverses safe for bikers is part of the plan. We continue to try and advocate for it within the CPC, and hopefully everything will get worked out at some point in the near future. And I would just underscore in general that this is an iterative plan, and we've done a certain amount in this first year. More will be coming in this next year. And, I think this is an ongoing process. And if we recognize that there need to be, raised crosswalks at some locations to slow people down, that's something that we could continue to talk about. I do just want to address the yellow versus red briefly from the Conservancy's perspective. Obviously there's no perfect solution here. If there was an easy solution to how to slow bikers down and make it safe for pedestrians to cross, we would have found it at this point. The reality is that people were not stopping for the red lights. Bikers were not stopping for the red lights, which creates really kind of a perverse safety hazard, especially at the southern end of the park, where a significant percentage of our visitors are from away, and they would see the walk signal from a pedestrian point of view and assume that they had safe passage across the drives. And that was not the case. And if you have a yellow light, yes, I guess it does require pedestrians to pay a little more attention. But it does sort of force everybody to look both ways and consider everybody's safety. And that to us was, it's a recommendation from our perspective, and it's a recommendation that we supported, that we thought would be better. Obviously, we are studying it and trying to look at it. And again, I mean, if it needs to be said here, the DOT controls the roads and what happens here. The Conservancy can have lots of opinions about what might make sense, but at the end of the day, we have no policymaking authority to execute on any particular design change that may happen on the roads. The roads belong to the city. So
Thank you.
I know that was kind of lengthy, but I was just trying to
No.
hit on a
Thank you
number
for
of
the
things.
answers. Again, if this already exists, is there any wording next to the yellow flashing that says something like, cyclists must yield to pedestrians, or something like we have in Riverside Park where it'll say cyclists must dismount? Is there any wording next to the flashing? I know we like to try to do universal signals so people of multiple languages understand, but
I mean, there are stop for ped signs at every crosswalk now. That is the wording with a
okay,
red,
so the answer is yes. I'm sorry if I didn't already know. My last question, I'm sorry, did you have more to say?
No, I mean, in other areas, it's also underscored on the, on the pavement itself through striping.
Got it. Thank you. And I see Deputy Inspector is on, and my question was for Deputy Inspector. Not trying to be cute with my next question, but you mentioned that it's challenging to do speed enforcement with a LiDAR gun with a bike. If a bike had a plate or an e-bike had a license plate, would it be easier to read? For a city bike with a placard or something that's perpendicular in the rear or the front of the vehicle or on the side of the vehicle?
I mean, it would make it more identifiable. I will say that they fail to yield to pedestrians on our variable method signs. We put them at 7-2 in East Drive and 7-2 in West Drive. We have cyclists must yield to pedestrians on those signs, so it just alerts people. We put them there because that's the most crowded parts of the park.
But I'm not sure if you heard my question about the LiDAR guns. If a vehicle, whether it's a motor vehicle or an e-bike or a regular pedestrian or e-assist bike, had a plate or a perpendicular piece of metal or otherwise, would it be easier for a LiDAR gun to read their speed?
Yeah, I don't want to comment on that. I would have to talk to the people at Highway District that do the training for LiDAR before I got the answer to that.
Thank you.
I had one little question about, in a number of parks, as well as small towns, there's often a speed limit of 15 or 20 miles an hour, and there are those lights that will tell you how fast you're going. And I wondered why we can't have a few of those in Central Park.
We have two of them provided by the highway district. One's at Columbus Circle, the drive at Columbus Circle, and the other one's on East Drive by the mall. I put them there, crowded areas. They should read the speed. They work accurately. I've tested them. When cyclists go by, it'll pick the largest object going by and measure the speed and alert you, and it tells you the speed limit's 15 miles an hour, and it tells you the
Yeah.
speed you're going. We have two of those.
That's fantastic. How about some more?
Yeah, I will ask the highway district, so we'll see where we can get them. The other thing
Yeah.
is about safety on the transverse. We do have one traffic safety officer, a Q traffic safety officer, and he exclusively does enforcement on the transverses, and he does a lot of speed enforcement. Because we know those transverses, cars see no lights, and they whip up speed going through the transverses, in the park.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We did have a resolution tonight, but it's getting really late, and I think that we will not have a chance to really discuss it. So, if it's all right with this committee, I think you've all seen that draft resolution. I know that we will probably want to make some changes. Suppose we circulate it, among ourselves and then make a decision and talk about it, next month. Would that be okay?
What was the gist of that resolution? I know we're not gonna get into this, just.
It was basically to acknowledge that the pedestrian crosswalks are not working the way we want them to work, that a lot of pedestrians are scared. And we wanted that acknowledged by DOT and others, and we wanted them to go back to the drawing board and see if they could really address pedestrians, because what's happening right now is great for some bikers, but it's not great for pedestrians. So, any other questions here? Anybody other than Ken who hasn't spoken yet?
See some questions online, by the way.
The public session has ended.
Yeah, we finished the
Yeah,
public session, I'm
so,
sorry.
and then they have spoken already. If they have any additional questions, they can email our office at mn07@cb.nyc.gov. So you can send those questions directly to us. We will forward them to the right folks.
Absolutely. And this is, please, Kay.
I would just, I'd appreciate some more time to digest all the things that we've heard tonight. I really.
Okay,
think about it.
this is not a finished topic. We are going to keep talking about this until we get it perfect. And we want it to be perfect for all users of the park. I'm not a biker, I'm a pedestrian, and I'm out in the park a fair amount, and I have stood there for a very long time on a popular, nice day when there's bikers just streaming down and nobody stops. So, yeah, we will revisit this and we'll get the resolution around.
And I will say, and she knows this, that I don't necessarily think a resolution is called for unless, I think that we need to find additional information. I'm not sure if a resolution has to be very direct, constructive, productive, all this stuff. So to me, this resolution really needs a lot of focus and a lot of work, especially since this is such a big topic with wide-ranging implications, not in this park, but like across the city. So that's why I don't think that rushing to a resolution is necessarily something we can do.
Okay, Linda.
Just one quick, would it be beneficial to have the pertinent community boards and committees on pertinent community boards, CB8, CB5, to have like a larger meeting to address these issues, because it affects everyone.
Actually, it's a
who
great
uses the
idea. It's a
park,
really
so-
great idea.
9,
Let's talk about that for next time.
They also, other community boards have, even though they're not around Central Parks, have also weighed in because there are so many issues related to bikes all around the city. So even if it's not Central Park and the drives in specifically, they have issued resolutions related to the bills.
We should study those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this
I
may
looked
be a
at them.
larger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
The other
Lottie.
thing is, could we invite like the commissioners or the deputy commissioners involved with all this stuff for the parks and transportation, just so that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think this is a good first step with the folks that we did invite, and I think that there's a lot of stuff that changed in the new year
Yeah.
with the new administration. We're gonna have to take a beat
Yeah.
for everything to settle down and then figure
Yeah.
out, because there's a lot of direction now with Dami and all this other stuff. We don't know,
Right.
you know,
We
what's
don't
gonna
know what
shake
we don't
out.
know.
So
We
I
don't
think we
know
need to
what's
take
coming
a
down the
beat for
pipe,
that, yeah.
exactly. So are there, do you still have a question?
It wasn't a question, it was a statement.
Oh, I don't know about.
Well, I don't, I mean, it'd be nice if we could get 100% compliance. I don't think that's gonna happen. We have a recreational space. And we have people trying to cross a recreational space. I think it could get better. But I think, I was very interested in what Alex was saying about the cognitive load. I think that's exactly the point. That's making everybody safer, because everybody is having to be on alert. And they're aware that they have to exercise caution crossing the drive, and they're not really sure, whether people are gonna stop or whatever, which is a lot better than assuming that they are stopping. And I think that's part of the reason that we're hearing some cries of pain about the new configuration is because of that cognitive load, which is actually good for everybody. And it just may take some time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks to Daria for doing such a great job.
Yeah, I agree.
That's one thing I really thumbs out, so she's doing fabulous.
I'm
job.
not a great multitasker.
Clicks were
so-
great. You did a great job.
Yeah, and thank you, everybody,
And
for
thank you to
coming out
Barbara.
tonight. This was really, really very much appreciated.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
Your
We're putting
work.
this all together.
And Alex, Sunday.
DOT.
The commitment.
Thank you, guys. Do we have a
So, before we wrap up, we have to adjourn.
Hold on, sorry. New business?
Old business, new business.
Okay, then do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for joining.
Second between.
Yeah. Very good. Where about you?